Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining. This is the November W7PRA Peak Radio Association meeting. I'm Paul N0VLR, chair of the board, and we'll start with introductions. Let's see, Ted on the top left corner of the Hollywood Squares.
W7RTM, Ted in Philomath. Secretary.
All right. Next up in the other corner is Olin.
Olin, WA7YXY, Corvallis.
Thanks for joining us, Olin. And Tyler.
WB7DD, Southeast Corvallis.
All right, or otherwise known as Crater Lake. Got it. Laurie? Oh, did he just dropped off, I think. Oh, no, there he is. You moved.
Okay. This is Larry, AF7NU in Corvallis.
Thanks for joining, Larry. Anthony?
Anthony, KE7OSN from Staten.
All right. Brett?
Yeah, Brett, KJ7GPD, way up north here in Tualatin, just south of Portland.
Oh, Traffic Central.
Yeah, pretty much. The gateway to the wine country.
Right on. Andy, our treasurer.
Andy, W7AAU from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, you got the distance award tonight. Andy from Philomath.
Yeah, another Andy, AA7AV, southwest of Philomath.
Right on. Thanks for joining. Drew, you're the last one to show up. Oh no, Scott's the last one to show up. He brings donuts. So go ahead, Drew, introduce.
I was going to point out that there's actually 3 Andys, or there's an Andrew, Drew, and an Andy.
Right.
W3HES from Albany, Oregon at the moment.
Right on. And welcome, Scott. You're pulling up the caboose. Go ahead.
Okay. Scott here. I am KF7GGN and I am in Corvallis.
Thanks for joining, everybody. Scott, I did get a chance to reach out to you. Did you have something prepared by chance for tonight, or
I do.
Mike talk to you? Or?
Yeah, no. I arranged it with Mike a couple months ago. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So we could do the meeting, the educational piece first, or we could do it second. Anybody have a preference either way?
Well, if you wanted, I could use another minute or two just to kind of put a finishing touch or two on this thing. So if you want to start with the regular meeting, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll give you that time. Thanks, Scott, for doing that. Appreciate it. So let's go with the secretary's report.
So I sent the meeting minutes out twice this month for the simple reason that there was stuff happening that was before this meeting. Is there any updates, additions, deletions, or changes, or whatever? Just let me know, W7RTM@ARRL.net, unless that email's not working.
Okay. Ted, this might be a good point as a secretary's report to kind of mention about the upcoming bylaws and any updates. That might be a good thing to introduce, just the topic of it and how we're going to run it, maybe.
Okay, so we need to have any edits to the bylaws formalized somewhat by February, and they have to be done 30 days before the annual meeting. So this has been kind of my pet project or pet peeve, is that we have changed as an organization to some degree. And so in many respects, our bylaws no longer reflect the processes that we do. And I don't know how serious that is. You probably have to ask Anna. but I did too late in the cycle write a bylaws suggestions. These are suggestions of things that I think should be changed in the bylaws. And what I'm proposing is I send out a copy of the bylaws and a copy of these suggestions for you guys to review and say yay or nay. And those things that we decide yay on in January, we'll implement the changes into the bylaws and then vote on them in March. How did I do?
I'd second that.
Anybody have any discussion? It's not really a vote as much as it is any questions that this is the process we'd like to go through. And we'd like to not do this at the December meeting so that we can just enjoy each other's company and tell stories and all that other stuff. Any opposition to that? We'd have to kind of hit it hard in January. It's not a big deal, right? But it's something that we would need to jump on right away so that we don't miss the window like we did last year, or like I missed the window last year.
Yeah, let's get the current bylaws and the suggestions out as early as we can.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Ted.
All right. Excellent. Just making a note on the bylaws. All right, good. Okay, Mr. Treasurer, Andy, do you have something to report?
Yeah, Treasurer's report as of November 17, 2023. Our total assets, cash in various accounts, is $4,063.34, and that is contained. We've got in our checking account $1,481.31. Our savings account has $2,485.71. So our total OSU bank account come to $3,967.02. We've got in our PayPal account $95.51, and in our Square Up credit card acceptance account we have 81 cents. So that's the total again of $4,063.34. And that is all.
Okay, I just posted the total in the chat. You heard the breakdown. Does anybody have any questions for Andy on this? Thank you, Andy. Appreciate the efforts.
One other item.
Yep, go ahead.
I paid the fee for renting the club's post office box at the Corvallis post office, and it was $128. So it's gone up. It used to be $60, but now it's $128. So that's
wow.
Taken care of.
Do we get much mail in there, Andy? Not that I'm suggesting that we get rid of a mailing address. I'm just wondering.
No, we do not get much mail, but I get I think about at least three dues payment checks sent there every year.
Okay.
But we're required to maintain that because we are a nonprofit corporation, and we have to have a mailbox on record. Just a side note to that, we also need the address of one of the officers, and I'm using right now my home address as our the place where summons and things like legal documents can be served. They need a physical address other than a post office box.
Okay.
So my address is the address for service, but our PO box is our official mailbox address as far as the state of Oregon is concerned for the corporation. That's it.
And Andy, what was the price for the mailbox again, or post office box? I have $120.
Yeah, 128.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Andy. Appreciate you putting that down as a secondary address. I know it's required. Awesome.
I have
So-
a correction. I got a correction. I made an error. It's not the post office box. Used to be 128. The check that I wrote on October the 8th is for $176.
Oh,
Anyway, it used to be, like I said, 60. I was sufficiently shocked by that. I thought maybe I should mention it to everybody.
Well, we all have different towns. There might be a cheaper option than the Corvallis post office. I don't know if that's something we should maybe check into. I mean, we've got a year because you've just paid it, so we're good for this year. Can always bring it up for next year.
Well, it also involves changing our address of record with the Department of State of Oregon as a corporate, because it's our corporate address right now. So there's a little bit more involved in. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, we're not hurting for the money. It's just leave it be. But if you do find mailbox prices are pretty much the same everywhere, I think. I don't know. But
okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've never looked.
So they used to be, so back when it was cheaper, there was some differential pricing. So like state and post office boxes were about $40 or $50 a year more than PO boxes at the surrounding towns. So like an Almsville post office PO box was like $60 and a state and post office box was like $100. But across the board, the Postal Service has raised the rates on that very dramatically for everyone everywhere. So,
and then we have the other problem. If we change it right now, we've been trying to make the post office box available in our communications so that people can mail their dues to a post office box if they're having difficulty navigating the complex computerized payment methods that we got. So that if we change the post office box, then we have to, communicate out to the world what the box number is. Anyway, I think yes, it's the price has gone up, but we can afford it, and the aggravation of changing it, I don't think is worth the savings. I'm done.
And that's all I wanted to do was to talk it through. There's no suggestion to solve something that's not broken. It was just to talk it through to see if there was any better way. Okay, great. Good additional updates. Appreciate it. Andy and Ted for the bylaws too. Thank you. The next one that I have here, any other questions or comments or topic? I'm sorry, any questions for Andy? Okay. So up next is the website report. Ron is not present tonight, but I will probably see him tomorrow. So if anybody has any comments, but I'm still trying to coordinate with Chris. So the only update that I have is I'm trying to coordinate with him so that we get the right language between the two W7PRA websites or Peak Radio Association websites so that we have a common common language and a clear communication. Chris has been busy working on a professional tower project all the way through early November, and I haven't been able to get a response from him yet on when he can have a discussion. So,
question.
waiting. I'm waiting on a response, but I'm sure he's very busy.
Who owns the domain names for the websites that contain W7PRA in them?
We had this discussion the other day with Ron and Anna. They know who owns the W7PRA.com website. And we own the peakradio.org website. So we own that. Actually, it's through Anna. Anna funded it. Never turned in a bill for it. I think it's just one of many of her domain names that, you know, she just set it up. So if we need to formalize it in any way, she could transfer it if we needed to. And of course, feel free to go to the website. Ron is asking for pictures and other content of other activities so that you can add it to our, hey, look what we do kind of thing in our club. So always looking for content. Feel free to send it to him. I'm going to send you. Do it right now. It's actually on our website. Yeah, so if you go to the website, there you go. He's got a webmaster link that you can just send it to. I'm not going to send you his authentic real email address because not trying to hide it, but he put it there for a reason. So if you want, you can. I think it's admin or webmaster at peakradio.org, and he'll pick it up. But any suggestions or email, any pictures or topics, greatly appreciated. Okay, Mike's not any questions on that? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So the next topic I had was the update for Bill KE7ZKH's estates. I know that that we did a really nice job at the Rick Rail Hamfest. I don't have any numbers, and it doesn't matter. We all did a great job in supporting that and whatever we could. Thank you everybody that participated in either loading, unloading, manning the tables, or just buying some stuff. And so it all helped Bill's widow, Michelle. So we'll probably get an update from Mike later on when he comes back. So I have an update on the repeater report. I went on to the Facebook page, and again, I'm just going to put it here. I'm not going to, what's the word? I'm not going to blow everybody up every month with this, but that's the one that I go to. And it says, we are happy to announce a new glass butte. Let me see here. I'm just going to put it into, for anybody that might not have the, for Facebook, I'm just going to put it here in the chat window. And I'll just kind of read through it. They have a 147.32, and it's got a tone. So if you don't need DCS in your radio, you can use an older radio. And the key here is the site is located halfway between Bend and Burns. So if you're really out there and at the Lake and Harney County line, it sounds like it's really like way out there, right? If I'm not mistaken. And then after that, you can pick up Steens, which has, a 10,000 foot level or something. One benefit to going to the PRA Facebook group is you can actually see some, not live footage, but video recording of watching what it really takes to maintain one of these sites. I watched a very hair-raising, I almost had to shut it off, a hair-raising four-wheel drive trip up Steens Mountain. I thought I wasn't even in the car. I was just watching the video and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I'd be climbing all over the driver if I saw that happening. So anyway, anytime you can, if you hear Chris on the air, AB7BS, please thank him for his service. He does a really bang up job in trying to keep all the bits flying in the right direction.
I think there's a couple of years when he hasn't made it all the way up that site.
Right. Yep. Sometimes he needs a snowcat to get up there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing that's coming up in the next item here we have is we're going to be meeting at Tommy's 4th Street Bar and Grill at our usual, I shouldn't say usual, it's unusual now, meeting location when we can. And if you can, I'll be putting out one more call to see if any more people are planning on attending. It's not required that you sign in. You can always just drop in, but I'd like to just give the staff a heads up as to how many people are coming. So far, we have about 16 people signed up with themselves and or a +1. So it should be a pretty decent crowd. Last year, we had over 20, I think. Anthony, do you remember? It was like 24 or something. We had a pretty good crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good crowd for that gathering. It's just from my memory, though. I remember we had several tables filled, for sure.
It's not going to be a white elephant thing, is it?
So that was the next thing. We were just going to enjoy dinner and camaraderie and just go around the table like we have done. But I'm open to suggestions as well, but keeping it simple and knowing that I'll need help if we decide to do anything more. Silence is deafening. Okay, we'll just go in and
always enjoyed the white
enjoy
elephant,
meals and drinks. What was that, Drew?
I was going to say I've always enjoyed the white elephant, but it doesn't sound like it's overly popular.
When we have a crowd of like 25 and 30, it can be a lot of fun. When you're pushing 16 and some of them are maybes, it might be just easier to just keep it simple. But yeah. Okay. Any other further discussion on that? You'll see an email coming from me. I'll usually send it in both places. You probably see double postings because not everybody's on the reflector, and anybody who's not a member is not on the no, how does this work? There are members and non-members on the Google groups, and there are only members on the Ham Club Online that aren't. Maybe some of them are and aren't on the Google groups. So I always have to post it in two places. So as much as it may seem duplicative, there's no good alternative. So thank you for your patience. Last up, we have any new business. Oh, go ahead.
I've never mailed anything via the Ham Club. Should the bylaws and the suggestions only go to that address since they are members?
I would say it could go to anybody. I mean, it's not like they're a super secret document.
Okay.
I mean, the biggest thing is when it comes time to vote on any changes, it's only the active voting members that have a say in actually amending anything. But
okay, thank you.
So So what are we recommending, Anthony, as far as where to send it? So Ham Club Online list, that's about 53 members right now.
So I would say Ham Club Online and the Google groups. Again, it's
Okay.
we used to have them on one of the early iterations of the website. They used to be posted on the website.
Yep.
I think if anybody has good insight on things that they think would be useful changes, I don't think you have to be a member to offer good insight. You just have to be a member to propose a motion or make a motion and to vote on it.
Okay.
Well, if you want to wait a day, Ted, I can talk to Ron tomorrow and see if he'd be willing to post it on the website. We can just send a link, and that way we don't have to send big thick copies around and do it that way. That makes sense.
Okay.
And maybe you and I could just email chat tomorrow at the end of the day, and I can let you know what I find. Because I'll see him in the office, likely. Okay. Does anybody have any new business, upcoming events, or any items of interest before we turn it over to our educational professor?
I've got a couple of things.
Or emeritus.
So one thing, so speaking of Ham Club Online and the emails there, so a few of you may have noticed that you didn't get the regularly scheduled reminder email from Ham Club Online about this meeting or other communications. So one thing we found with the Aries meeting last week was that the forwarding service the ARL has contracted with for the @arl.net emails has been rejecting, like flat out rejecting the Ham Club Online emails. And we've had issues with them like even exterior. So Aries had been using a mailman mailing list and it had been rejecting emails through there. So if you are signed up on Ham Club Online with an @arl.net email address, I would highly recommend working on getting that changed to probably anything other than @arl.net. And I'm looking at the roster and I'm seeing at least 5. And so I know Ted and Olin are on there. Looks like RTG has a ARL. Joe Monteleone, and I've already talked to him because he was not getting the Aries ones. And then Dana also is at ARL. So probably I'll have to see. I think I can just email all 5 of these people with information to get that updated probably tonight. But if you don't remember your login, I'm not sure what the account recovery process is. So I do know if you have never logged into Ham Club Online, whichever club adds you originally as a ham to the system, the admins on that club can change the email address on file for you up until the point where you log in. Once you have logged in and gone through that process, then it's on you to change your email address. So for that, I'm pretty sure their support is pretty good as far as if you submit a ticket and be like, hey, I signed up with an ARL and ARL is being stupid, so please please help me fix it. I've put in some suggestions for changes to their system, and they've been if not actually implementing them, they've been pretty snappy on responding to the tickets. So at least saying they got them.
Interesting note, if you want to make up a call sign @ account, Gmail has a limit. You have to be at least 6 characters long before the @Gmail. And so anyone with 5 can't. I found that Outlook will let you do a 5. So I have a W3HES at outlook.com. Just random note if you want to find it and use it.
Yep. And other people have done something about like their first name and their call sign or something. Found creative ways of padding the app part of their email address. So that's one thing. Another thing is I don't see anybody here who's particularly in the Salem area, but in a couple weeks now, I've roped Scott into helping teach a tech class at Shemeketa in Salem, and then we're going to run a VE session. It'll be Monday, December 4th, is the VE session, and then the class will be the Friday and Saturday prior to that. So it's like the first and second for the class, and then the fourth for the VE session. But if you know anybody that's interested, basically it's the same ham radio in a weekend class that we've done down in Corvallis a few times. And Scott has had a phenomenal success rate for people who have taken the class and have walked out as new licensed hams. So, and then we'll also be planning on offering as the exam all three exams for those that if anybody's looking to upgrade or whatever. But if anybody's wanting to try VEing, we can wouldn't hurt if anybody wants to drive up there. We can get you signed up to VE and see what that looks like. We've been doing kind of online only or entirely online exams, so not remote, so they are still in person. You have to be there to take the test. But you do it on a computer, and we grade it on the computer and everything through exam tools, which if you ever seen Ham Study, it's the same organization that runs Ham Study, does exam tools, and it makes the whole VE session process just super smooth, easy, and everything gets processed electronically, so grading goes really fast. The processing the CSEEs goes really fast. The 605s, everything gets turned in quick and easy. And then once I hit the submit button at the end of the session, most people are in the process of paying their FCC fees the next day and are licensed the day after. So
just for
You have really
confirmation,
streamlined it.
session,
Mhm.
the session's on the 4th, Monday.
Monday the 4th, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, Paul.
Thank you, Anthony. That was informative in many aspects. Starting out with why aren't we getting our emails, right? So I know one late night I was on Ham Club Online and I unchecked the box and I haven't received any reminders since, and so I need to go in there and fix it. But so here's a good point to note: we are not going to have a Zoom meeting in December, and I will make sure I communicate that out clearly to the two servers. What do you call it? Lists. And instead we'll have the holiday meeting, and it'll be a short meeting with nothing in particular. And I'll see if Mike wants to he might actually have some de-expedition kind of things that we might be able to show on the projector. And I'll ask him about that. He's not here to defend himself, so I think for sure he's got some DVDs or something that we could maybe put up there for, I don't know, half an hour, just kind of see what it's like to be on the other side of the pilot. So I'll ask him if he can do that. That'll be a nice, easy, informative thing to do. Anybody else have any items of interest, upcoming events? Any big contests? I'm sorry I skipped this one. I rolled it up into events there, Olin, and didn't know if you had any input on any big contests coming up.
this weekend is the big CQ Worldwide CW contest, starting on Friday at 1700 Pacific Standard Time and ending Sunday at 1700 Pacific Standard Time. It's a 48-hour.
Wow. That's a long one.
Yes, it is. That's it for really quick. There's some other contests as well. My favorite's coming up in December. That's the ARRL 10-meter contest. It's around second weekend in December. I'm not sure.
Okay, very good. Awesome. Anybody else with any other topics of anything else? This is sort of a catch-all miscellaneous before we go ahead and shift over to our educational portion. Yes, Brett?
I've got a question because the Portland repeater has some packet loss on it, so it's kind of hard to listen. And Chris said that it has to do with their, like, the DSL link is kind of doesn't have enough bandwidth to really keep up. And I was wondering, is Chris the only one who has access to give like so I can log in with the Raspberry Pi on the All-Star system? Does that have to go through him? Or is there anybody else? Because I've written to him in the past and not heard back.
You know what? I have a second person you can ask because he is all things All-Star. And you can at least ask the question, and he may or may not be helpful. So I'm just going to throw it out there. He's actually so Ken N6KNE is a very active All-Star user. And he's part of a California club, but he uses our repeater system because he comes driving his truck up and down the I-5 corridor. Nice. And you can almost pick him up on, well, of course,
up on the radio.
The problem, right?
Yeah.
So let me post his yeah, there it is. And you can just tell him that you're a member of, PRA, and you had a question. Chris is busy. Do you happen to know and just see if he gives you any. He'll be friendly and helpful.
Great. Thank you.
So he's the one, by the way, I'll put it in a cheap plug, that he tries to join up the other All-Star Rota, they call them Rota networks, together and kind of connect them. And so every Friday night, they tap into the Ham Radio News Online. And I don't know if they stick around for the Anything Goes Open Net, but I know that they listen to the all that. And there's like, from what I hear from Steve, W7. Oh, I have somebody else's call sign in my brain. I just talked to him. We all know Steve, the who runs the Ham Radio News Online. Help me out here, Anthony. What's his call sign?
ETK. W7 ETK.
Oh, thank you. Yes, ETK, W7 ETK. I have too many Steves with too many W7s in their name, and so I've just had a brain bubble there. So yeah, so he told me that he has 1,100 listeners, or at least he reaches 1,100 people when he does that broadcast now, because it's consistent. People can rely on it. They love listening to it. It's 30 minutes or less of just what's going on, and I guess it's pretty popular. But Ken runs that connection where he connects those things up. So he and Chris are very, shall I say, business to business or just network to network tight with one another. They allow each other to do that. So
great.
So good luck with that, Brett. Yeah, I've not been up to Portland recently, so I don't have that experience that you do. But thanks for reporting it.
Bet. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else last minute before we go ahead and close the meeting and then go, well, not close the meeting. We go shift over to Scott, who's going to present tonight.
I'd mention real quickly that I'm moving my base station from Albany up to Astoria.
Oh, when's that happening, Drew?
I do not know. Sometime in the next 6 months or so, but just giving everybody a heads up that I won't be quite as local as I was, and still plan on joining in and seeing you for events and probably going to 7QP with you. So,
all right. Well, good luck with that transition. Okay. Hearing no other further business items, I think I'd like to hand it over to Scott, who's going to talk about, what are we talking about tonight, Scott?
So tonight, we will be discussing a little bit of a technical topic here. It's going to be about RF amplifiers in the Class D and Class E categories. So it's something that most people don't know anything about. In fact, I didn't know anything about them until a couple of weeks ago myself. So I thought I'd talk about that. I asked Mike, if I could shoot in, jump in one of these months, and he said, yeah, he'll be gone in November. So I took the spot for him. So anyway, I hope I'll make it interesting for everybody.
No, that's great. Appreciate you learning and sharing.